Yes, now, and welcome to episode 68 of the Top Loaded Podcast. And it is a very warm one yet again. But, Harry, apart from the heat, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not doing too badly, thank you, mate. Not doing too bad. How you doing? You well?
Yeah, very well, very well. Like I said, we've got a bit of a different episode today. We've got a few talking points that we'll get into later on in the episode, but we have recently received our shipment over from the United States of America. So we thought we might as well. Our mail days have been lacking quite a bit, so we thought we'll go full out. So for anyone who's watching along on Spotify or on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. But don't worry, for everyone listening along, we'll still be describing which guys we've got. And if you did want to see any of them, go over to the YouTube channel or Spotify to see them. But if my technical ability does work out, I should be able to press one button here and it will go not working. That's just what you want to see. Good old phone. See, look, I practiced this earlier and it was working. Fucking great stuff. So, yeah, well, I'm going to get that sorted in a second. But first of all, actually, was something I want to talk about. And we were just referring to here. I was unpackaging all the stuff from the United States. Their packaging is ridiculous. There was one card, and it come between 8 top loaders and bubble wrap. Whereas we've had cards in the UK where barely come through anything and they just want to get in the smallest envelope possible. It's a completely different ballpark in America. Just in general, shipping standards and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. I've had some recent in the UK which are fantastic, but most of the time it's just a bubble mailer. Obviously, we're quite the way behind, but it is another level, United States, in their shipping and tracking and just eBay. And we was going to talk about obviously the difference at the moment in the markets, especially between the different platforms, eBay, whatnot, Vogged, and all this. And why I sort of said problems, we'll talk about whatnot versus Vogged, because we talked about this about 7 months ago now. I think it was when whatnot was first launching in the UK, probably even longer than that, but probably about a year ago now. And a lot has changed, hasn't it, since when we first started talking about it? And it seems like the tide has really turned recently within the last month.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're starting to see a lot more. I don't want to say flooded. I think flooded is the wrong word to use, but I think we're starting to see a lot more higher volume on streaming and whatnot. Make of that what you will. But I think, we're seeing an effect on whatnot in terms of you've got a much wider array of sellers going live at the same time. You can jump onto the Whatnot app and you've got, I don't know how many different streams going on of all different sorts of breaks, singles, etc., etc. Now, as much as that has the pros for us in terms of a buyer, you can go onto the app and you've got all these different streams going on. You can jump in and out of whatever you want to jump in and out of. However, the flip side of that is for a streamer or somebody on Whatnot, obviously your competition has ramped up. You've got to compete with, I've not counted, but hazarding a guess, I'd say at least 10 to 15 other streamers on there at the exact same time, especially with new releases, probably breaking the exact same boxes you're breaking. Or if you're jumping on for a single stream and you've got people breaking new products, your viewers on that stream are probably going to decrease and won't be as high as they normally are. So you've got your pros and your cons for buyers and streamers. But I think we are definitely seeing a lot higher volume of streamers on Whatnot or people going over to Whatnot, starting on Whatnot, which obviously is great. It has massive pros because competition is good. It strives you to do better things, newer things, bigger things, to try and engage the platform, engage the audience, and ultimately have a lot more views on your stream. But it just does then limit what you can and can't do, because obviously, you jump on and do just a random single stream with, anywhere between £1 and £25 to £50 cards. And then you've got someone breaking a case of Premier League Select. You got someone breaking a case of whatever else. It's then a case of where is the viewers going to go over to? We see it a lot when, as a stream doing a giveaway, the viewers ramp up, giveaway gets drawn, viewers go back down again. So, there's a lot of people that do jump in and out of streams, but it's definitely an interesting couple of weeks in terms of Whatnot and the capacity that they're now at in terms of streamers and how that's directly affecting buyers and streamers. There are probably a lot more pros than there are cons, especially for buyers, obviously like us. But ultimately, it has taken a toll, I think, on some streamers in terms of the viewers they get in, the engagement they're having. You know, like I said, competition is good. It strives to do something different, but ultimately you've gone from, you know, having 20, 30 streamers per stream guaranteed with whatever you're doing to, you know, scraping 10 to 15. So I don't know what your opinion is or where you stand with it, but I think in a nutshell, that's pretty much sort of the last couple of weeks in terms of how whatnot, etc., has been.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the aspect of that. And I think that one of the main issues, like you say, is there's a lot of people just on the platform for giveaways. And I think at times 50 to 75% of people that are just in streams in general are only in there for the giveaways. I was helping out a good friend LGL last week on a case break, and he done a giveaway, it probably got up to about 45. And then as soon as the giveaway stopped, it would go down to 20. So to have what 60, just under 60% of your audience just there for the giveaways every time, and they literally just go from stream to stream to stream to stream to stream. They just do it all night long. It's not a true representation because you look at the numbers and you go, oh my god, there's quite a lot of people in streams, but how many of them are actually going to get involved? And like you say, at times there's 10 to 15, even more people at center. I think the other day I counted that it was a Friday night, so obviously peak. Obviously, I would say probably Friday, Saturday, the peak times of streaming. There was 23 people live just doing soccer, and I was thinking that's a high amount just in the UK. That weren't even US side. So even if you then put in the US side, you probably get looking at like 40 or 35, say. And the competition is so hard when everyone's breaking the same things, and a lot of people don't go along the way of fixed price spots. They do it on auctions. So, and people know they don't want to pay over a price of what they're meant to. So it's very hard at the moment for people to, especially breakers, to break even on some boxes. And I think I've seen that quite a lot recently, that people that openly said it, breakers, that they can't be breaking as much because it's losing. But then they'll do a single stream and it will do 3 times the amount of profit. Or likewise, they do a case break and it does well. So it's finding that happy medium on whatnot at the moment, and it's going to be quite intriguing. Obviously, like we say as well with Vogt, it seems like there's been a few people digress from Vogt into whatnot, and it's quite intriguing to see that because obviously it was their main competition, and have people start switching over shows that they think the grass is green the other side. But it seems like every single person's getting accepted in, and but from a whatnot perspective, I can understand you want as many streamers on your platform. The more streamers, the more money you make. But it's getting to a bit where, like you said, you can't really call it flooded, but it's definitely the pool is getting a lot bigger and the actual competition is very hard out there. So it'd be quite intriguing. We'll probably talk a lot more in a couple of episodes' time when we'll be joining for Lewis with his third episode of the new series that we've got with him, and how things have changed for him over the period from January to obviously now we're in June, because Whatnot's a very different place. He was doing 50 viewers on just a single box in January. Now he's doing a case break and getting 17. So obviously it depends on the product, but do you think Whatnot have to do anything differently? Like, do they have to make it a bit stringent to get people on, or maybe like a kind of a schedule, maybe that certain amount of people you can't go live at the same time? Because you're getting it now with bigger breakers. They're hiring people to break for them, and they're live at 10 a.m. and they're finishing at midnight because they've got 2, 3 people working for them. Like, it's kind of, you've got the big ones who are just doing it all day, and they can afford to be slightly cheaper because they're breaking so much. So it's going to become harder for the little man, so to speak, who's going to break one box and trying to get bigger.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because whatnot, the platform's there for what it is, and it's doing what it says on the tin. You know, it's there to be a streaming platform. However, you start adding in the aspect of scheduling or adding in rules, like, you know, if they were to add in, say, you can only enter a giveaway on a stream if you previously bought from the streamer, or from, you know, there's certain aspects that you can only enter a giveaway under X, Y, and Z terms and conditions. It almost takes away the element of, yeah, all right, then viewers will go up when a giveaway goes live. But what's to say that, you know, the proportion of those viewers don't then come back on that show and think, oh, okay, cool, I remember being in that giveaway, blah, blah. So it's a fine line between adding in rules, regulations, or some terms and conditions, schedules, whatever, but is that going to take away the element of the ability just to jump into one stream and out of another? Or it's difficult. It's trying to figure out what, you know, what everyone would want to see. I mean, me personally, like, I'd quite like to see maybe you can only enter a giveaway if you've bought in that stream, or something along a similar line to that. Just like you said, it stops them, serial giveaways, if you like, that you just jump in out of a stream into the giveaway and then back into another one. And you see it when you've got like a giveaway box, that the streams in that the views in that stream are just through the roof because everyone's thinking, cool, free spot, give it a go. And the minute that last spot is drawn, every person that didn't get a spot, bang, out they go. Ultimately it's part of it. You enter a giveaway, people are going to join it. It's free, why not? But maybe if they did something online, so you have to buy within that stream, you have to have previously bought from the streamer in order to enter a giveaway. I don't know, but then again, that then takes for the whole aspect of you getting new viewers by them entering giveaways. So I don't know. I think a schedule would probably be the best potential short-term plan in terms of seeing who's streaming what when. Naturally speaking, you always have like a big streamer on most of the time throughout the day. I said, if you've got 2-3 big streamers on at the same time, and then you said your little man's coming in and trying to enter just to break up a box, to try and break through the scene, it's going to be very difficult to try and get views without having like an established name or brand already on whatnot. So yeah, I mean, there's different ways around it. There's certain things you can and can't do. It's just figuring out what is going to be more beneficial, and what they can do to try and open up the floor to people that are new on whatnot and people that are trying to make a name, without then at the detriment of the freedom on the app.
Yeah,
I think that's about right.
No, yeah, I do. It's a very hard one for whatnot, especially like we say, Fogged is there as competition. Fanatics will be launching their own live selling platform in the near future by what the reports are suggesting, and also eBay have looking along the lines of doing a live sale. I know they're working very closely with Burbank Sports Guys on that kind of thing. So, like I said, competition is always good in the hobby. So it's going to be quite intriguing to see how it plays out, especially with these other, like Fanatics, for example. It's going to be crazy. I was thinking about it the other day, like they're going to go live, and by all accounts, they're going to be like signing up breakers, and obviously Fanatics get the product. So if you sign up with Fanatics and you're on a Fanatics break, you're going to get the product. So it would be interesting to see what happens there as well, because obviously it might be a case of obviously Whatnot do give out some contracts, but it's very little, and it's only to the top 0.001% of the overall hobby scene. But with the likes of Fanatics coming in, it'd be interesting to see if they go along the contracts to try and get people on. So I know, for example, Card Collector 2, he's on Whatnot quite a lot. We've got Pac-Man as well. He's on Whatnot quite a lot. These are big sellers. And obviously there's tons and tons more, especially in the States, that might be tempted to go over to a Fanatic. So it'd be quite interesting to see how it plays out, not just this side of the pond, but that side as well. And I think it's going to be quite a good one to watch as well, because it's going to be quite an intriguing battle, so to speak, because it's just so much competition. There's so many people wanting to break. There's so many people wanting to buy, flip on the of it. But it's more than just that. Whatnot in the States was crazy. I was going through it the other day. Obviously, I always thought it was just cards, but it's everything. There was people selling kitchen appliances. And I was like, I weren't expecting to see that. But it's literally a live selling platform. So you can go live with anything. You're seeing it with football shirts, for example, over here, for example, like football memorabilia. So it's going to be quite intriguing to see how it plays out. And I think that's going to be one that's definitely going to be monitored very closely by us. Just intrigued, because I was always debating breaking, but then I'm like, nah, I can't be bothered. It is a lot of work. And I think, especially doing case breaks and stuff like that, you're putting in probably 8 hours potentially, with like after you're breaking the whole thing.
It's not even that though. It's actually making a name for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like the actual context of packaging, breaking it, postage out, etc., etc. But it's the first step into it is to actually make your name, make your brand, and get yourself out there. Start breaking, break your smaller products. Probably make a loss on the first 5 breaks. You're trying to sell it out to put your name out there. That's like the first, stepping stone to becoming a breaker. And then it's your 6 hours where you're on a stream for 3 of it, and then you're packaging and sleeving up for 2 hours, and it's the post office trip and posting it out where you're in there for half an hour. Like that's all the aftermath. But the first stepping stone is actually just trying to break into the scene where it is already massive, and you are going to be a drop in the oceans. What makes you stand out that will make your name known, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like I say, there's I think we're getting to the point in the UK now where there's a clear established set of breakers, especially of the like higher parts from where they do stream 5 to 7 times a week. And for multiple hours a day doing multiple boxes. They're doing thousands of pounds worth of stuff. And like you say, for someone to start out now and try and get to that higher echelon, it's going to be a very tricky job. Oh, what I was comparing it to the other day with someone else, it was like YouTube. Like if you was at YouTube when it first started out and tried to get big, it was an easier process, not easy, but easier. Whereas if you go live now, there's millions of people uploading videos. We're same with Whatnot. Now, say for example, at the beginning there might have been 15 breakers in the UK. Now there's probably, if I had to guess, 200. So it's like good luck to everyone who starts it. They just stay. It's like we say. I think the main one is consistency. I think that's the main thing of anything. And obviously, when you're starting out with Whatnot, it's quite tricky because you have to wait for the payments to come back through like a week, 2 weeks later. Whereas then you slowly work up the levels. And I think once you hit a certain catchment area, you get more quicker to payouts, so like within 72 hours or something like that. So it's just keep the consistency up if you're doing it. And like I said, when we talk to Lewis LGL Breaks in a few episodes' time, we'll talk to him a lot more about how it's going for him. Is there anything he's considering changing, doing? So I know he's working very closely at the moment of what works well on Whatnot, especially buying and selling, because no doubt it's a very tricky one. But the next talking point before we do look at our pickups, because it's going to be some good pickups, there was a tweet, an Instagram post, and it was all about what was the biggest thing you learned from the rise and fall of the card market starting from COVID until now. And I think it's a great talking point because we always talk here and there about good things and the bad things, but it's interesting to see other people's perspectives. And obviously, this is more US based than UK based, and it does apply quite well. So I'm going to go through the first couple before we talk about our own ones, like some of these ones. The first one I thought it was very was at the end of the day, if you collect what you want to collect, it's a much better journey than just buying what people tell you to buy. And I think you see that quite a lot of people go buy Messi, buy Bellingham, buy Saka, but just collect who you want to collect. And I think that's the best thing. I know, obviously, for example, for us, me mainly with Granit Xhaka and Arsenal, but for you as well with Arsenal, but then also like Gasly and Steiner, which we'll show later on, you get that bit more gratification of buying something that you PC rather than just something so you don't want to miss out.
Yeah, definitely. I think it all depends on what you're in the hobby for as well. Like some people are genuinely in here to, buy, sell, and make money out of it, and that's absolutely fine. It's a hobby that money can be made within, and if that's the case, then yeah, you are going to be buying the players that are currently on form and then trying to flip them on in 6 months' time when they've won X title, X trophy. But like you said, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of when you're PC in a card like Steiner is the principal of Haas. Haas perform once in every few races, and they're not exactly consistent, and yet Steiner's the GOAT. So it's like that's predominantly from Draft to Survive. So it's like there's no real glory behind it. And same with Gasly, he made a move from AlphaTauri to Alpine, and again he's finishing within top 10 some races, but he's he was P17 when he finished qualifying at Canada this weekend. So it's all about what you enjoy and who you want to collect, regardless of what anyone else thinks. Ultimately, you are going to want to collect some of the big dogs to be in the run-in and think, oh yeah, I've got this card that everyone wants, I've got this card that is hot in the market at the moment. But equally, if you're enjoying what you're doing, enjoying who you're collecting, and enjoying who you're collecting out there, then there's nothing that really should sway that. But like I said, it depends what you're in it for. If you're in it just to collect and enjoy what you're doing, and to collect what you want to collect and collect what you enjoy, then you're in the right place. But if you're collecting stuff that you're trying to make money out of, and then again, you're in the right place for it. But the question is going to be asked differently to those different types of people.
Yeah, and I think this next one I thought was a fantastically put one. It's much harder to sell cards than I had first assumed. Even with last sold / comp prices, it is tough to find that specific buyer. I saw a lot of comparisons between the stock market when first entering into card market. However, at least with stocks, there's always a buy as long as the market's open. And I think it's a very good point to talk about because it's not always as easy. People go, oh, I can easily move a card if I want to sell it, but it's never that easy. And then obviously comps is another debate for another time, but it is true. And don't and there was a follow-up point to this as well. Underneath said, if you've got a price, stick with the price. Say, for example, you're asking £100 for a card or $100. Don't think, I've got one offer on the table, 50, I've got to take it. Just hold it. Just keep with it. If someone wants to buy it for more, they will buy it for more if your card is there. And comps are only ever just a guide. Say, for example, there's a one of one, like say it's a 10, because there'd be more comps in that market. The last one done, say 160, but potentially there's one person going for it who needs the last card in their rainbow, or someone's collecting it because they've got all the gold by that one. You're going to get higher than the comps. A card's price is dictated by how many people want it and their desire to buy the card. It's not about, oh, let me see how much the last one sold for. All right, it's a good judge. Like, say, for example, a card's out of 149 and there's so many of them available that you can go by and be like, I don't really want to pay triple. But at the end of the day, a cardboard's value is only as much as someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. Literally, the price of these cards nowadays is only what someone's willing to pay. To relate it back to the question, I think when everyone was during COVID or on furlough, everyone had a lot of more spare cash. Everyone has spare cash they could spend, and me included. And you thought, oh, okay, cool, I'm getting paid, not working, ain't got to go anywhere, sitting in the house all day. So realistically, I've got all this spare cash lying around. So then people were buying more, and I think we're seeing a lot at the moment the higher end cards. Maybe your 1K plus, they're so difficult to shift. You've got to be in the right place and find the right buyer to shift anything over 1 to maybe 5K plus. I think whereas during lockdown, you were seeing so many big deals going on where people had that spare cash and just thought, all right, well, I've got it here, I might as well spend it. I think that's probably one of the biggest things for me is how alive the hobby's so alive now, but during COVID, everyone knows what it was like during COVID. It was literally like on the ceiling. People were buying left, right, and center. People were buying into breaks. Like, it was just ridiculous. And I think whereas now people are more hesitant to buy into breaks, people are more hesitant to buy cards. I know we've related back to it a lot in terms of the current economical income situation, whatever you want to call it, the climate at the moment. And it's like, whereas during COVID, it wasn't really a thing. People were like, cool, like, we're getting paid, nothing to do, like, we might as well just put our money into this. And I think that's probably one of the biggest aspects relating it back to the question is, you've seen it now. And I think the stock relation was pretty accurate as well in terms of, nowadays people are more careful with their money, whereas during lockdown, me included, people probably weren't. So it's just interesting to see how much more common it is in terms of the buying and selling than it is potentially now than during COVID.
Yeah, and we've got two more we can discuss. Before the first one is it says someone based in America, say reference a national slash the Burbank show. They go, in the modern world, now that COVID has sadly ruined the hobby in terms of the pricing for that 1 year, but brought a lot of people in. Now that card shows are ready, available, and no social distancing, most deals are actually done at card shows. And also, it's a way of actually learning the hobby more and talking to people. If you can get to card shows, I think it sums it up perfect. I personally say most of the best experience I've had within the hobby have been at card shows. And like I said, you can get deals done at card shows. Deals walk up to you at card shows, especially like trade nights, or even like if you're just socializing in between shows. Deals come up to you. You make deals that you never think you're going to do, and it'll just present itself an opportunity because you're there and you're with like-minded people. You get to know people, and I think that's the main thing I've learned is you talk to more people in the hobby, you get to know them, you stay on good terms, and they know what you collect. You know what they collect, and if someone sees, say, for example, a Granite Shack stuff for sale, I've had it quite a few times within the last month. They'll message me and be like, this is available. Or if I know someone collects Bellerin, I see one of them come up. It's one of them that you just got to know the people win the hobby, because at the end of the day, it's a hobby and the people are what make it. And no doubt you agree with this, especially with like shows coming up. I know obviously we had the Scotland card show on last week. London card show is coming up in about 6 weeks' time, South Coast card show, and a few more. But card shows are the things to look forward to. If you're capable of getting that to like a nationals, do please. We want to experience it. We will do in the future. But card shows is where the hobby really is, and it's just great to be surrounded by like-minded people, looking at cards, talking, and most of the time you're just talking at card shows. You're not actually buying.
Oh, 100%. And I think being at card shows is probably one of the best parts of the hobby in terms of socializing within the community, and like you said, people then look out for stuff that they see that you collect, and it's all part of it. I know anything I see, Shaka or Gabrielle or Arsenal Women's Chrome, it's like, I'll send that straight to you. And you remember what people like, what people collect. And it's even like leading up to shows. Like, I know if I'm see a card like an Instagram or someone's story, I'm listening, you're gonna be at London in next weekend, you're gonna be in London in 2 weeks' time. Sweet, listen, mate, put it so we'll have a chat at London and see if we can do a deal. Like, it's just things like that where you then talk about it in person, you then meet that person, you then make that connection, and then it goes from there. I remember when I met you at one of the first London card shows, and it's like, we're sat here now, and it's amazing meeting people, but having that face-to-face interaction. Like you said, 70% of that time in that card show, you're just talking to people. It's only probably about 30% you're actually looking at cards and buying cards.
Yeah.
And like you said, deals come up to you. People might know you from Instagram and go, listen, I bought this today, mate. It's the Shaka. You interested? Yeah, people come up to you with these deals. So I think card shows for me are one of the best things to come out of the hobby since COVID. And I think, it's just with so many popping up in the UK now as well. And like you said, the ones you've got in the US are just incredible. And, I know we've got, let's say, London up in about 6 weeks' time. So, card shows for me have just been a massive, massive win in the hobby. And if anyone hasn't done one yet or has only done a few, I can't recommend them enough.
And I think the last quote on this post, if anyone wants to look at his card port on Instagram, fantastic post. It's 600 odd comments, if not more. But the last one, I think, perfectly sums up, and I think it's got the most likes of any ones I've seen, was, at the end of the day, there's a lot to do in this hobby. But if you just do what you like to do and enjoy it, the experience will be a lot better. If you like to break. If you like to buy and sell, do that. But most importantly, what you're doing, have fun. If you're not having fun, it's a hobby. And they said, if you was playing a sport and didn't like the sport, you wouldn't keep on playing it. So what's the difference between this and trading cards? It's a very good point. It is a very, very good point.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Go
on.
I was going to say, like, at the end of the day, it is a hobby. You're doing this in your spare time. So if you're not enjoying it, find something else that makes it enjoyable, or change what you're doing. If you're buying prospects and you're not really enjoying it, buy legends. Or if you're only collecting modern, maybe have a look at vintage. If you're not buying into breaks at all, but you fancy it, just try it on the cheaper end. There's plenty of player breaks in America that for cases which you can get in for $2-3. So just do what you want to do. That's what I think I've done. I've learned the most in the years that I've been in the hobby is just do what great for. Like for me, I really started to enjoy getting tickets, and I've started buying more tickets or collecting tickets because that's what it's that added factor of you pick up something, you're like, oh my, you want that factor of when you're opening it in the post, you're like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And I know that that's, for example, this US shipment we were talking about in a minute, we've had the same thing of, oh, I can't wait to get that card in person. And that's one of the best feelings you can in the hobby.
Yeah, and it's like a 30 quid card that I bought from the US, just like, but I can't wait to get it. So, I think, I remember when I first started in the hobby, it was always like trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. You're trying to get the best card, the next best card, the next best card. And you're constantly trying to keep up to like, a post a day and trying to do everything you can. And all right, yeah, if you've got the time to do it like we probably did back then, great. You'll go places. But the sooner you realise that, it's not about trying to keep up with every other Tom, Dick and Harry and trying to, be the best and do the best and have the best things, you'll find it a lot more enjoyable. And that's what I figured out, that, not having to try and constantly do everything one more than somebody else. You're just here for the fun. You're here, it's a hobby. And if you aren't enjoying it or you don't like it, then, it's obviously not going well for you. So, yeah, I mean, couldn't really have said it much better myself in terms of what the comments said back to the post.
Yeah, I definitely recommend anyone who hasn't seen the feed, just go and have a look. I'd say it's one of the essential Instagram pages to actually follow within the hobby. Brings you all the latest news, dramas going on, and just good talking points. So definitely go and recommend that. And now, hopefully without technical issues, I should be able to press a button.
Second time lucky.
Yeah, second time lucky. And it's going to come up with no pitch quality, and I'm going to just jump out my window. But I've actually wired it in now, so it should. Oh, look,
there we go.
Perfect. So we have got a bit of a Mailday, actually. Something different on the top of the podcast. I'm going to start with a bundle I picked up before we move. We'll kind of go side to side here, but I did pick up this lovely bundle of select cards. And all of this was $20. So all of these come to $20. So we've got Pride Alexis Sanchez, all numbered as well. The camos are 249 and reds are 190. Podolski, Pride. Obviously, some of these I'm going to grade in the long run. Some of them are just cheap. Like this was $1. You can't really go wrong. This is a dynamic duos, Alexis Sanchez and Toro Vidal. Then we've got some nice Pride ones again. Got Gianluigi Buffon, Sergio Ramos. Mr. El Toro card is
That's
ready.
it. El Toro shaking his boots right now.
We've got a nice Yaya Toure one. Not many Yaya Toure stuff about, especially Ivory Coast. So I thought I'd pick that one up. And as you can see, a theme. Yaya Toure Ultimate Team. Then we've got some variations and other just base ones. But David Luiz, Yaya Toure base and variation. And then we've got Thomas Muller base with variation. And then last but not least, Mesut Ozil camo, which I think, funny enough, I bought this prior to the release of the new select. And now seeing the new select, I've really liked it. And I'll move over to one of your cards now. And we have got a very nice free. We're going to start with the non-graded one. And you can talk the people through this lovely one.
I mean, yeah, it probably comes with no surprise, shock. It's a Gunther Steiner. Yeah, I think it was yourself when it wasn't actually picking this and said, "Listen, I've just seen this up on eBay." So yeah, it's the one of one printing plate from Topps Chrome. My second one of one within the Gunther Steiner collection. So yeah, the minute I saw that, I was like, it's got to be done. And obviously you don't particularly really grade you put the printing plate. So I was just pleased to have that and add that to the Gunther Steiner collection. But yeah, the second one of one, obviously in the Steiner PC. So yeah, from the 2021 Topps Chrome. So yeah, I was very pleased and thankful when RP sent me that message.
Yeah, it was one of the lucky ones. I've got so many different eBay save searches now that
half of them are for me.
Yeah, literally are. So I picked up this one. It's a bit different for me. One of my resolutions was to pick up a Ronaldinho stamp PSG related. So I will get this off for grading. I haven't really looked over the condition yet, but nice. 2003 Ronaldinho when he was at PSG. Obviously, El Toro did see me buy this, then went and bought a PSA 8 one. Not that I'm saying he copies me or anything, but kind of did. And then the next one is nothing special because it's a redemption. Granit Xhaka from obviously the new select. So we'll get that over and I will do one last one before moving back over to HA. And I've got a nice Tierney diamond from Revolution. This was just one from a break. Bought him, I had him for $2 in a whole case. Managed to pick it up. It's just a lovely looking card. As I say, it's a cheap card, but looks really good. And moving on now to a Gem Mint 10 for Mr. HJA.
Yeah. So I've been keeping my eye open for a Lightning McQueen from the new Kaka Wow. Obviously I saw I think about 2 or 3 on eBay that I missed out on bid. And I saw this one come up and I was like, right, I'm putting a silly max bid on. I'm just gonna get it, whatever it is. Obviously, yeah, Cars is one of my favorite Disney films, and so I was buzzing when that one come up. I think it finished at about 2:30 UK time in the morning. So when I woke up, I was like, right, fingers crossed that the eBay notification come through, being like, congrats, you've won. And it did, thankfully, for under under a quarter of what my max bid actually was. So I was quite relieved to figure out it didn't actually go for as much as I set it on. But yeah, so yeah, PSA 10 from obviously the base Lightning McQueen, Disney Kaka Wow. So I am very much trying to find the auto. I know we were talking about it before we started recording. They're very hard to come by. I don't really see a lot. I think it's about 2 Lightning McQueens on the eBay recent sold. I think about 250. I think they are. So having to keep my eye open for one of those again when they come up. But yeah, it was buzzing to wake up and see I'd won that one.
Yeah, no, I think that's talking about earlier when we were talking about different things in the hobby that bring enjoyment. One of the best ones is waking up to an eBay notification with the little fireworks emoji when it says, congratulations, you won. So that's always a good one. And a few of these actually woke up to it, but a few raw singles just for me. Nice little Chrome Ozil from 2000. I can't remember what year these were now. 2019. Just don't see many of them about. 250 is literally like a cheap one. And then one that people listening will actually recognise. Finally got the blue to 75 for the rainbow. So now one card off literally one card off.
Join the club, Ron. Join the club. Yeah. One card of a rainbow.
It's called the Mosaic Parallel, the one I'm waiting for. But I finally got the blue. So ticking it down slowly. And then obviously everyone knows me. Do like a bit of women's cards. So I picked up some nice ones here. And I know HA will be a bit jealous on some of these. But starting off with Chrome. Got another Leah Valti pink. Why not? And then Steph Catley pink. But then moving on now. Got a few Topps nows numbered, which to 99 parallel is red, black is to 10. So I've got the red, so it's obviously Arsenal as well. But a nice one here, obviously celebrating the win after the Lyon game with Beth Mead, Cassina Ford, Frida Mornham. Then a lovely Beth Mead to 99 yet again. And then probably my favourite raw card of this pickup show, Beth Mead Inferno rookie. Got this
Nice.
on an absolute steal. This was another one that I submitted an offer just before going to bed and woke up and it was accepted. And I was like, I can't believe that. And then the last raw one for me on this one, a Genesis Mosaic rotor guitar granite jacket. So now I've got the Peacock, I've got the Genesis, I've got the 2.8. So picking up the short prints. And our last four are all slabs. And starting with Mr. HJA, here we go.
So yeah, I know. Obviously, I previously spoke about it on I think the episode or two ago. Obviously, I originally had the base sit and pose Gasly and the Aqua that I got off Harry, UK Sports Cars Collector in Germany. So I was like, right, the next one I was obviously going to be the Sapphire. So yeah, I went and picked that one up off eBay. So I've now got the base, the Sapphire, and the Aqua. So obviously next will probably have to be maybe the gold, I think, which will be to 50. So yeah, I mean, I was buzzing to get that. So I've got all the three different variations. I'm sure most of you would have seen my Instagram post by now. Obviously, all three of them on there. So yeah, that was one I really wanted to pick up. So yeah, I was buzzing to have bought that off eBay. I think it was only on I think I put an offer on eBay and it was accepted. So nothing too crazy on the bids or anything. But yeah, was that pleased to add that to the Gasly collection.
Yeah, and then three cheaper slabs for me, but three very nice slabs. Picked this one literally up like 2 weeks ago. Emergent insert silver prism from the latest prism. I actually got this for $4, I think it was, which even the raw is like 50p or something. Then I picked up this one. Obviously, people know I do like collecting a bit of Leno. And obviously, this is the Till, and this was before it went to 49. So this is numbered to 35. So it's a Till Prism Breakaway Gem Mint 10, which I paid about $10 for, which I was still, it looks a very good looking card as well. And then last but not least, my favorite card in general from my shipment, an overdrive case hit from Mosaic Road to a World Cup, Granite Xhaka, and got this for a grand total of $6.50. And it raw, someone tried to sell it for me raw last week for 20 quid. So very happy with that. And I think it was a very good shipment from us. And obviously, we'll end up doing a lot more of these type of shipment videos whenever we do get them in every 3 to 4 months, really. But obviously, London Card Show is in between. But it's some really nice pickups in there. Obviously, we'll be meeting up tomorrow so you can pick them up. But it's just great to have these like shipments in. I know you can't wait to get the Lightning McQueen, Pierre Gasly, and Gunther.
Third down, if you're listening, yeah, Lightning McQueen's going straight into a slab mag. I'm sure you'll be pleased to know. But no, yeah, I mean, so I don't really see you to pick up too much slab cards. So it was nice to see you have a couple of PSA slabs in there. But yeah, it's definitely something cool. You know, I like the whole collation of getting all the US shipments together and then ship them over. And we've got a bit of a Mailday to release, so we might have to start introducing that every so often. Doing a little unboxing or a little reveal of what we've been picking up from the US recently. Makes up the fact we have a few quiet weeks where we haven't got anything to show for, and then bang, all in one episode. So, but yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll have to definitely do that a bit more in the near future.
No, definitely. I think that's what I say. I think as well when you do buy from the States, because you obviously it goes to your shipment area and then stays there for a while. It has that bit more anticipation when it is going to be shipping. Obviously, we shipped out from the company we used. I think it was last Monday. I think got shipped out Wednesday and arrived today. And it would have arrived quicker, but FedEx don't deliver on weekends. So, like we say, it's compared to what it once was, the overseas shipments of you can get it in less than a week turnaround. It's fantastic. And let's say now though, with the prices around the world of not even just US to UK, I've always, whereas before it always used to be US is the cheaper. Have a look in the UK because our next one, there's a lot of good deals to be had at the moment within the UK. I had another couple of pickups which are already filed away in my case, all ready for grading. And I was picking up some stickers in Germany. And for anyone who don't know, obviously I picked up the Eminent Jens Lehman recently. And I was looking, I want to try and pick up all of these foil stickers, not obviously the base ones, just the foil ones. And I picked up a couple of Jens Lehmann ones from Dortmund sticker book from I think it was 2000. It was €1 the sticker I won it for, and it was Euro shipping. Like so, about £1.70. Yeah, like, even at a car show, it's probably going to be £3, say the sticker. But that's another point of their hobby that I think is fantastic. Is if you want a deal, you can get a deal. Like there's stuff out there, and just collect something different. Like I know, like for example, you now like you're going down the lines of Steiner. Obviously, you've got a bit of Lightning McQueen, a lot of Gasly, and obviously Arsenal stuff as well. But when you start looking at the vintage, obviously, neither of us say we're very into the vintage market. I'm more pre-modern than vintage, but there's a whole world of that to explore. But just have a look around. Like, there's so many things on eBay at the moment. Not much on Instagram like it used to be, but how many times do you just go on eBay and you actually find something that you weren't particularly looking for, but it comes up at a really good price or deal, and you've got to do it?
I don't think I can probably say on here how many times I do it a day, because it's far too often. But yeah, it's, especially on eBay bids, there's a lot of stuff going cheap at the moment. Not so much on the buy it nows. I feel like the people that list them up for buy it now know they want a certain price and will not shift below that, which is fair enough. But the people chuck up for bids are sort of like, here you go, 99p, show us what you got, sort of thing. So you see a lot of stuff at the moment going very cheap on bids. Which obviously is great to see for us, not necessarily so much in the US when we have to stay up till 2 a.m. or put a max bid on a ridiculous amount to hope we do get it, because we're not staying up till 3:30 in the morning. But yeah, there's a lot of cheap stuff out there, and like I know, like me and you do a lot is just like save searches. Like the amount of times I get a notification throughout the day going, oh, there's 4 new listings for Arsenal 1-of-1s, there's 4 new listings for Gasly, Steiner, whatever. So yeah, it's just having a constant flick through every morning, every evening, whatever, just seeing what's new, just changing your search or sort to newly listed, and just seeing what's around. So there's just a lot of cheap stuff going at the moment on bids. I know I'll say it again, but just constantly keep an eye out. And if you see a nice card, favorite it. You get reminded 15 minutes or 20 minutes before it ends, and you can see what bid it's on at the moment, because 9 out of 10 it's going to go relatively cheaper than what you'd expect. Especially on Instagram, people are pretty firm on prices, which again is to be expected. So you'll probably get most of your bargains on eBay. So yeah, it's just important to keep double checking and to make sure we're having your safe search, you're checking it as often as you can. But it's amazing how much stuff you'll find on there that you weren't expecting to see, or that you never thought would come up, or something you never seen before on eBay. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how we check all the time, not just UK, US, other places. I look at a lot of mainland Europe as well. Germany, Italy have a big sticker fan base, and it's just learning what you want to collect. And that's why last talking point. Obviously, we always change what we like to mainly PC. Like, you pick up new bits here, pick up new bits there. I know you was picking up some of the camos for select, and then you've been looking at some dynasty cards. And is there any areas of the hobby that you haven't really explored into yet that you're thinking about getting into? Like, my last big one was the ticket world, learning about that. Obviously, helped I had a Wenger ticket go off to grading. I know you had the Giroud Scorpion kit, Puskas winning goal. Is there any other areas in the hobby that you'd actually like to learn about more? And because I think this is a good talking point, because a lot of people out there are a bit intimidated sometimes about parts of the hobby they don't know. But for every part of the hobby, there's at least 10 to 20 people either want to go into that side with you or know a lot about it, but you just need to reach out to.
I mean, I've never actually done a grading submission with PSA yet, so that's one thing I actually want to tick off. After nearly 2 years in the hobby, I've never actually submitted to PSA, so that's one thing I actually would want to do this year. In terms of finding out more information on it, I think, like I know we've posted before, we're not particularly clued up on vintage. And there's a lot of nice vintage Arsenal stickers that look great in SGC slabs. I know I've got a couple of Henry stickers from the late 1900s to early 2000s that I really, really like and have been in my PC for a long time. Not necessarily the most expensive, but the stickers from, I think I've got the Merlin 1999 and the Merlin 2000 that I've had for a fair amount of time now, that I'm not really going to get rid of anytime soon. So I think definitely vintage would be one that I'd like to indulge a bit more into. I know obviously our good friend Jason he's very hot on his vintage, and as is L_trade soccer Louis. So I think vintage. Honestly, I said we both sort of got a fair few tickets that we like collecting. I've got 2 tickets graded myself. But I think vintage for me will probably the next step in terms of collecting a bit more retro Arsenal. Your earlier days with some sort of vintage stickers and some of that. I think probably be the next step for me in terms of what else I can look at learning a bit more about. Because for me at the moment, if anyone wants to ask me anything about vintage in any form of detail, count me out.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm exactly the same. The only other PSA submission that I've done, I know you're the same, is a ticket one. So I need to get some. And the thing, what I actually need to apologise to the hobby for, that Xhaka card was my first ever graded Xhaka, and I haven't even graded any of them
I
yet.
thought it was.
Yeah, so that is the actual first graded Xhaka I've got, which is disgusting. I have to apologise because it is ridiculous. I've got out of 100 granite jackets and only one of them's in the slab. Don't go. A lot will be getting slabbed up very soon. It's just when I can be bothered to send them all off in one bulk lot. But as I say, it's funny that people still don't grade much. Like I say, there's quite a few different options out there for grading where people do it themselves. Obviously, go through a third party, different companies. Obviously, MGC if you want to get anything graded in the UK. I do recommend them, lovely guys over there. And then also SGC, Beckett, PSA, CSG, or if you're more into anything else, you've got CGC as well for like comics. But everything you can get graded now, just have fun. And like I say, you can, how I see it, especially with grading, say for example, PSA bulks £20 a card roughly, or you can do 5 of them for 100, or if you're not really that bothered about grading, then buy some cards with the 100, or say it just depends on how you want to attack the hobby in your own way. Like I've seen Shaka cards come up for like 25, 30, and I'm like, would I rather get that card or would I rather grade a card? And I'm like, might as well at the moment pick up the singles while they're at a good price. But yeah, I think it's just another great one. It's going to be interesting as well in the obviously in the pre-season is going to be starting within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're just getting over, well, as of recording this, is England tonight, which is the last England game of international duty. The Euro under 21s actually do start this week, which would be quite intriguing to see if any hands with that within the card hobby world. Like, just intriguing to see if any prices. Obviously, it's not really highly watched, so I doubt prices will go massively up. But if someone has a really good tournament, they might get a move. And obviously, the transfer window as well is an absolute menace at the moment for the amount of rumours. People obviously jetting out to the Middle East. You've got big players moving between clubs, and I
Yeah.
think like especially on last time we've been linked to Kai Havertz, which poor old Gus that won't be liking that one. You've got players
Bring Gus
obviously.
back on.
Yeah, I'm going to get Gus. If we do sign it, I'm getting Gus on just to talk about the Havertz still and see if he wants to try and flog me all of his cards. But I think that's going to be quite an intriguing one because you never know what's going to happen. Someone might PC a player, they move, and when they move to, they don't like it, so they're going to have to try and clear out all their cards. It's just quite an intriguing balance before we do start with pre-season. Obviously, probably in about 6 weeks' time, Messi's going to join up with Inter Miami. He looks like Sergio Busquets is going to be joining him there as well. So it'll be interesting what that does. And then obviously the Saudi Arabian League are buying players now as well. It's not just all the old ones, obviously Ruben Neves now. So I can only imagine that his card market is going to really suffer. It'll be really cheap. But no more of his cards. So if people in Saudi Arabia are starting collecting Ruben Neves, they might have to buy his Wolves Prism stuff. So I've no doubt with you, like building up to London Card Show, which is in about 6 weeks, give or take, a lot could happen within the hobby. But then also it's going to be very quiet because I think we've got about 3 releases. I think it's Immaculate, Impeccable, and Women's Donruss and Chronicles between now and London Card Show.
Yeah, I mean, the first two you said, I mean, are pretty big dollar releases. So I think that'll wake the hobby up a little bit. I think it'll be a lot of people watching breaks. I'm interested to see some of the hits we get from that and some of the new designs. So I think, Immaculate and Impeccable for me is definitely 2 big releases that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, there's not really a lot on the schedule really from now up until London. So I think London's probably the next big milestone, if you like, for the hobby before the season starts again. So, I know obviously the Sunday of London is obviously the Community Shield, obviously where we're playing City. So that probably when the season gets back underway again. So yeah, I think it's probably keep an eye out for the releases, and then London will be the next big drop in the hobby. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. We're going to get back down to Sandown and see everybody again. So yeah, it should be a bit of a waiting game now, and hope that something exciting comes up.
Yeah, yes, I say it's going to be quite intriguing. Obviously, when Immaculate, Impeccable, and anything like that. Obviously, actually, Topps Chrome is due out very soon as well. Any of the stuff, the checklist comes out. We'll talk a lot through that. We'll look into depth next week regarding Topps Chrome. Bit more time then to focus on the checklist and hopefully some other checklists. But like we said, there's a load of dual autos and triple autos and cards in there. Some random additions as well, which we'll talk a lot about next week. So that will be next week's episode, talking through Topps Chrome, which is obviously one of the big releases, and hopefully some other stuff in between now. But until next time, thank you everyone for watching along on YouTube, Spotify, obviously listening along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and any other platforms. So like we say, thank you everyone for the continued support. It is the quieter period of the hobby at the moment, but no doubt we still love bringing you content, and we've got some big interviews lined up and some content as well lined up for the near future. But until next time, I hope everyone out there is buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.